Welcome to the workshop. Our hope and prayer every time that we do this is that you take information, you start to implement things that you hear into your day-to-day activities. Benjamin Franklin would say this, that if I just tell you, you're probably going to forget, right? I could just tell you things. And tonight might be a lot of me just talking, but hopefully you guys can interact. You're a good group of interaction, so this is good. If I teach you something, and rather than just tell it to you, you might remember. But if I involve you, you'll learn, okay? This is where learning really happens through involvement. So when we're talking about trying to help you make changes to your habits, to your lifestyle, to ultimately help your body to heal itself better, I need you to listen with more than just your head. Because if you listen with your head, you'll get information. We have a statement, we'd say that information without implementation leads to depression. Because we might know a lot of things, but if we don't really do something about them, we almost become depressed that we didn't do what we know we probably should do. So what we don't want is to lead to depression here. We want to uplift you because your body's healing and its happiness and its health relies a lot on what brain chemicals are being released. Our thoughts, the foods we eat, the postures we're in all affect our body. So tonight, before I start talking about like all the chiropractic techniques, it honestly won't be that big of a deal that you understand the chiropractic techniques so much. There's about as many techniques as there are chiropractors, okay? And at this point in 20 some years of practice, I've probably developed the Sakura technique just because that's what I do, all right? But I don't have a book. I don't teach other people my technique. But what I want you to understand first off is that your body is a self-healing and self-regulating organism. So the first question I want you to kind of think about is the power that made your body. Do you truly believe that's the power that heals you? How you were created, the magnificence of how you were created is that same force and that power that they can't recreate in the lab. You could take every single one of your parts and pieces, every cells, all the cells, I could put all the components of a cell in a petri dish, could stir it up, it's not going to create life. There is a part of life that is what we call the innate intelligence in chiropractic. So if you're going to kind of understand a little bit more about chiropractic techniques, you kind of need to understand that chiropractic is founded in the principles that the body is a self-healing and self-regulating mechanism, that the power that made it really is the only power that heals it. I might even be a misnomer when I say I come and treat people, because that would mean that I'm doing something that makes you change. My techniques, every one that I use, is to impart a part of your body that is disconnected or interfered with to become reconnected with that source or power, which is your brain communicating to your nervous system. Okay? So the first question just to think about is, do you believe you can heal? Do you believe there is hope? Do you believe that your body can come back from certain injuries and accidents and traumas? Because if you don't and you say, well, I think, Doc, I just want you to fix it, then maybe the chiropractic philosophy doesn't really jive with your philosophy. But chiropractic was built on the premise that interference on the nervous system causes something very simply called subluxation. So we're going to use this safety pin first to try to describe why we adjust people, and then we can kind of talk about techniques. But this safety pin is actually the simplest way to describe chiropractic. So if you go home to someone who doesn't understand why you're going to a chiropractor or doesn't understand much about chiropractic, instead of just saying, well, it's a pinched nerve or he resets me or he realigns me, you can kind of use the safety pin as a good example. The safety pin is simply this. It's a little diagram saying this is like your head, this is your brain, and this is your body, okay? Brain and body. A disconnected brain to body means that there's interference. There's going to be some lack of coordination and control and function of your body due to the fact that your brain cannot communicate with your body properly. If your body, let's flip it, if your body can't communicate back to your brain, there's also a problem, right? In chiropractic, a subluxation simply is some interference on the ability from the brain to connect to the body or the body to connect back to the brain. That's a subluxation. We're going to get into what causes that. But the first thing to understand is that if your body is functioning at 100% and your brain and your body are connected, then the brain understands what traumas they're under, sends the right signals, nutrients, cells, information, down to the body for it to heal, and the body lets it know if it's doing the right thing. That's called a closed loop. We call this an efferent-afferent loop. But when your body and brain are connected, then it's working properly. When it's disconnected, there is dysfunction. When you're young or small traumas or small accidents happen, you just bounce right back up. You may have a subluxation, but you may not be experiencing symptoms. There's just dysfunction. You probably feel dysfunction when I touch certain parts of your body that you didn't think were really feeling bad. But when your body becomes stuck in a bad pattern, then it starts to tighten up. When there's dysfunction, the body tries to protect. And that dysfunction or lack of good motion in your spine, so when the spinal joints aren't moving properly, that's a subluxation as well. And that continues to cause this dysfunction. But dysfunction doesn't mean that you have pain yet. Ultimately, what happens if there's enough dysfunction, then there's compensation, and long enough, it becomes dis-ease. We call it dis-ease instead of disease. There's a lack of ease in your body because you have subluxations. And the older that you get, the more these subluxations are compensations to some original injury or accident. So when you first come in, I'm fixing compensation. I'm probably not even to the root of the original subluxation. Okay? So when it comes to chiropractic, we want to reconnect your brain and your body. When there's connection, there's coordination and there's better function. When there's subluxation, there's discoordination or dysfunction and ultimately more disease and symptoms. You can have disease and still not have symptoms. So your body is attempting to handle stressors from a lot of different levels. Stressors on your body cause subluxation, and not just the obvious ones. What's the obvious thing that can cause you to be misaligned? What's some obvious things? Just say
Slipping in the snow.
Slipping in the snow, right? Car accidents, right? Traumas, like some sort of physical trauma. You get banged around, I fall off a bike. Birth itself can be a trauma, right? Birth itself can be tough on a baby. I have a 17-year-old right now, and granted he's played all sports, but he's got arthritis in his neck. 17, which means it didn't just happen last year's football game, okay? Arthritis takes at least 10 years to develop, if not 20. So birth itself could be traumatic, but that's traumas. Now, remember this, there's also micro trauma. So if we sit bad posture all day, we look down at our phones all day, our posture can be a trauma. We live in an unnatural environment anymore. A natural environment would be us foraging, us growing vegetables and fruits, farming, moving around, hunting for animals, using our bodies to work the land and to survive. Now that we've been blessed with the fact that we don't have to do that, we may have less stress on us in the sense of physical stress, but we're not moving. You've probably heard it, but sitting is the new smoking. So what causes subluxations? Yes, car accident, but so could looking at your phone for an hour without moving, right? That's physical traumas. Those things are obvious. Most people, oh yeah, I could see how that can mess the spine up. But no, there are two other big categories that are the reason that chiropractors do their techniques. One of them would be toxins. Toxins, a toxic load of chemicals into your body, causes subluxation. Your nervous system reacts to those chemicals and can cause your body to tighten up, to restrict, to become inflamed. You've probably heard of inflammation. Your body is attempting to support you, but when it gets overwhelmed by inflammation, you become subluxated again. And I could correct that subluxation. I could go, oh man, that's off again right there. And you come back next week, out again. Because the chemicals that you're either breathing in or eating, or drinking are causing your body to have subluxations because of the stressors. When I have my hands on you, I'm getting a summary of the amount of stressors that your body's been under because your spine's kind of like that fuse box, okay? It's a fuse box. I mean, look at this. If these nerves coming back into your spine, just from the muscular system, are sending abnormal or excessive signals, you could misalign in any of those vertebrae. But also, not only that can a pinched nerve affect your feet, your arms, headaches, but irritated nerve can also affect your digestive ability. It could affect your digestive system, your lungs, your liver. Your internal system is also being affected by misalignments. And it also affects misalignments. It goes this way as much as this way. So we would adjust you in understanding in our techniques that we learn that certain areas relate to certain parts of your body. For most people, a chronic subluxation in the upper middle back, a lot of times I'm thinking about a gallbladder stomach issue. And I can tell you about half my patients don't have a gallbladder who come in here. Why does the gallbladder become dysfunctional? Why does it have subluxations or disease? Toxins. Our diets can affect those a lot. So this all kind of comes full circle. We're going to heal your body with chiropractic techniques is to use your body's alignment, your posture, and your spine to give us input what stressors are going on in your body. Okay? So there's traumas, there's toxins, and then there's the biggie, which is even hardest to fix, our thoughts. We call that the 3 T's. So all chiropractic techniques have been developed to try to either improve or correct the traumas that have been under, maybe to help you to remove toxins that you're exposed to, or to help reset how the thoughts are affecting your body. Stress, absolutely. Anyone who's ever been in my office who's had a tough day, I immediately can feel the tension in their body, more than like another day. So there are techniques, there might be times that you feel me working, just holding my hand on a part of your body, and probably my hand's on another part. But what I'm actually feeling for in those techniques, it's called bioenergetic synchronization technique, just one of the many that I've learned, is to actually balance energies and flow of your body to help to reduce tension and stress and chemical inflammation in your body by resetting that primary energy pathway. Most of the times you're going to feel me resetting we call it the fuse boxes. So if you think about it, if your body's a house and these are all the appliances in your house, and let's say this is your fridge and it trips the breaker, I feel it back here, I reset the breaker, fridge turns back on, but if the fridge keeps turning off, there's something wrong with the fridge, right? But I will get a sense that something's tripping that breaker. So when those breakers trip and we reset them, we at least get coordination back and forth. But the reason we're here tonight is to figure out how or what it is that's causing your body to trip the breakers, okay? You'll be given exercises to help reduce postural stresses or misalignments in how the muscles are working, because those things just as much can be techniques. We use a technique in this office called chiropractic biophysics. Sounds fancy, but basically what it is when your posture, if your head's forward, we help you train it back. If your head's to the left, we help you train it to the right. So we give you exercises to help do corrections over time. Many of you have probably been told about the fulcrums. We did a workshop on it if you haven't been told about them. But those postural fulcrums are to help get these curves back in your body. Because those curves just themselves, being out of alignment, will affect the speed of information from your brain to different parts of your body. I did a study with the neck curve, and the speed at which the nerves would go from the neck down to the hand would slow down the more forward our heads were. So if that small part can affect that, how much is all these other things starting to tune down your vitality? But think of the subluxations just like a dimmer switch in your body. If your body working at 100% with full communication between your brain and your body as your bulb's at 100%, 100 watts, when you're subluxated, you could be down at 40 watts in some areas, in some ways, not everywhere. So when we attempt to help bring that back up to 100%, we try to reconnect you with that power that created you. That's chiropractic philosophy. And there's many techniques that do that. I've learned techniques called sacro-occipital technique, meaning I'm going to work with your sacrum and your occiput when I try to balance the flow of fluid that surrounds your nerves. We've learned techniques that we call diversified techniques, which means you lose a lot of techniques to try to move the body in different ways to help it let go. Because your body becomes restricted. When you're subluxated, there's restrictions, and a lot of times that's the first thing we start to unlock. But we do these workshops because if we don't teach you how to try to prevent those things, then we're really not doing any more service than you could have just taken aspirin. This is safer, has less side effects, but we want you to kind of get feedback from the adjustments. When things are feeling tight, they don't think they're changing fast enough. When your body is resisting some of those things, that just tells us we got to look a little deeper. And I might not have all the answers. And that's the beauty of when I kind of bring other people in every so often, or we're trying to kind of get more access to different things, you start to learn in different ways. What other things can I do, for my body? Without spending a bunch of money, without spending too much time. Coming Tuesdays to the workshops, you're going to continue to get little bits of information that I've learned over many, many years. Tonight's workshop we put together probably just kind of give people a foundation of chiropractic techniques and, treatment options and how we do those things. But know that all the things we're going to do are to help, number one, probably move the joints. Number two is to help restore communication or flow of nervous information. Number three might be to help with nutritional deficiencies or toxicities. Number four would be to help how do we relax the body. How do we tune that thought process into positive versus negative? The hope also would be that when you guys are learning things that you can share it with other people. I like to say our chiropractic office isn't just these four walls. What we want is for people to have more of a chance of seeing chiropractors first rather than last. If we're trying to get your body to work from the inside out, we call it above and down and inside and out. That's how we heal. If we want to heal you from the inside out, we got to get the inside working better. But sometimes you do get into a problem where your body has been deteriorated and decayed so much that we can't help those things change. But you're still going to be here, get adjusted to have the maximum potential for your body to keep in its best phase, to keep it from deteriorating. To learn how to manage the problems that you have created. Unfortunately, we've all created these issues knowingly or unknowingly, and those issues need to be managed. And just to numb them up, just to take a medication or an injection, or just some way to kind of stop our brain and bodies from talking is not healing the issue or slowing down that decay. And that's chiropractic philosophy. But when you're understanding kind of what our goals are, that's where we're coming from. So we thought we'd do this workshop tonight to just kind of give you that foundation of when I go to approach you on the table, am I approaching you to say, I'm adjusting this to get rid of your pain? Not really. I'm approaching the table saying, I hope this body reconnects. How do I get this body to unlock so that it can start to flow the information of healing throughout, more than just hit the point for my pain, hit the point for my weight loss, hit the point for me to be less stressed, doc. Those points, they may happen when we do these things, but there's not dedicated points on your body for these things. Your body is holistic. Holistic in our office means helping your body be whole, to really connect you fully. And chiropractic's really always been holistic. We just put it in our name because we didn't think many people understood that chiropractic was holistic. But chiropractic's always been holistic. It's about trying to help you be whole, And that's kind of how that all comes together. Thank you guys for being here. Enjoy. Have a good night. Bye-bye.